Hello everyone, welcome back to my studying, and I hope you are in the mood for some urban fantasy today, because I will be reviewing a book called Damoren from the Valducan series, and it is written by Seth Skorkowsky. So what's this about? The main character, named Matt Hollis, was bitten by a Wendigo as a child, but instead of getting possessed and subsequently killed by the monster hunter who was hunting the creature, he gains some of its powers. He is then taken in by the hunter and raised by him, and as he grows up, he continues to follow the trade. But what's refreshing about him is that he doesn't have many illusions of grandeur about the life he leads, which is probably the most interesting aspect of this story. It's actually quite refreshing to see a somewhat self-aware protagonist. Now, why am I saying this? Run-of-the-mill urban fantasy protagonists, even in the series I like, they often exhibit copious amounts of angst about their belonging, about their origin. Should they enter the mystical underbelly of the mystical world? Should they enter the magical society? Should they pierce the veil, and so on? It's always pretty much universal. It doesn't matter if they are a half vampire, a werewolf, a mage who keeps away from other mages. It's always the same. Here, that's not exactly the case. There is some prejudice in the monster hunter community, but he avoids this community until, of course, he can't. He gets dragged into it. There's plenty of gray morality on both sides. It's not a very humorous book, but it also doesn't fall into the cartoonishly grimdark territory. What it feels is like a gritty 90s procedural, maybe? So these are the things that I like. Let's touch upon the negatives. And the negatives, well, a lot of them have to do with the world building here. It feels very low energy. As a rule, I enjoy low fantasy aspects of urban fantasy. It's a nice contrast, a nice palette cleanser when you're reading a high fantasy series, which is usually a doorstopper. It's long, it's at minimum a trilogy or longer, and urban fantasy books, they feel like a condensed season of a urban fantasy TV show. But why am I saying this feels low energy? Why does it feel a bit lazy in the world building department? This has nothing to do with power levels. It's the lazy aspect is the effort that's been put into the side characters, because they all feel like stock actors, just vehicles for the plot. And for a genre novel, it's actually kind of dry because of that. And when you pair it with a plot that's not that intricate, I think that there is a lot of space for improvement here. It's not terribly original, but it is a competently written urban fantasy novel. It's pretty straightforward, and the main focus is more of a study on urban fantasy genre protagonists than having an interesting protagonist individually, if that makes sense. So overall, I would recommend this, mostly for a light read, or actually even for a light listen. I listened to it as an audiobook, and it's narrated by R.C. Bray, who did narration for The Martian. He did narration for Expeditionary Force, so he has a very pleasant voice to listen to. So I'm not sure if I would read the next novel in the series right away, but I can be reassured if you've read it, listened to it. Do let me know if the subsequent books are an improvement. And that would be all. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for my Patreon supporters for supporting me. Please do like and subscribe. And see you next time. Bye-bye.